We have come forth to bring a new era to the Bull City. Get down or get put down. Yes. Yeah. Last level of the glow is what I'm trying to achieve. Can't focus on these.
My name is Dwan Owens, and I'm a professional MMA fighter and a self-defense instructor.
Okay. Just tell me a little bit about yourself. What you got going on with your with the MMA fighting? Tell me what you got going on across seas, like teaching the self-defense. I know you do some stuff in Africa too. I just go into like briefly some of that stuff.
So I'm at a point now, I've been fighting professionally for about 10 years. So I'm making that transition. You know, fighting has a short window of opportunity if you're smart anyway. So you get in, you know, make some money, make some connections, and eventually you're going to get forced out. So I'm prioritizing making that transition. So I'm focusing on teaching self-defense now. My primary goal is trying to combat gender-based violence. So when I teach self-defense seminars, we talk about intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, situational awareness, third-party signaling, and bystander intervention. So it's just pretty, that's my major focus right now. And the older I get, the more important this work gets to me.
Dope. Okay, so let's just go into, I know you've done some research yourself in your own life. What is codependency to you?
When I think of codependency, I think of, you know, relationships or partnerships where somebody is prioritizing someone else's feelings over their own in regards to what they do. A situation where they feel that they can't live, let alone thrive, without this person. And sometimes that happens because of some type of power imbalance. Sometimes it's financial. Sometimes it's just, you know, someone else's ability to do certain tasks. And it happens a lot. And a lot of times we don't realize that we're inside of that cycle of codependency until we're out of it. You know, a lot of times people can they can weaponize their position in your life. You know what I mean? Again, a easy way to point it out is usually with finances. But there's many other ways that, you know, people can fall into codependency as well. A lot of times someone will, especially if someone's telling you, you won't do this without me, you can't do this without me, or I do this for you. They're aware of the dynamic, and they're trying to, you know, again, weaponize it and remind you of it so you can act in a way that they want you to act. And that's usually in a way that serves them and, you know, is harmful and detrimental to you.
Okay, so that was good. Let's also go into, so understanding codependency, you had to have gone through something in your life.
Yeah.
So how do you identify, how do you view toxic relationships? Like, what is that to you?
Yeah, I think I didn't realize, I've been in situations of codependency. I didn't realize it until the end, you know, and a lot of times, you know, your family members and your family members let you know. Even if your friends know something, especially as men, sometimes, you know, we had this kind of thing where we feel like we overstepping our boundaries, you know what I'm saying, if we say certain things. But your family, especially, like I said, as men, if you have women in your family, they're going to tell you the truth. So my sisters, I mean, to be blunt, they saved me. You know what I mean? They really were kind of exposing me to, you know, what this dynamic was. And sometimes you can't see it because you're inside of it. But I think for a lot of reasons, culture plays a part in how people kind of model their relationships. So if you're not fitting the standard of what someone feels like they should look like, or then, you know, a lot of times that's a problem, you know.
100%. How do you regulate your own emotions?
Yeah, for me, when I think about my emotions, I try to just be true to what I'm feeling. It's a balance, right? Because as a man in this society, as a black man especially, you know, we got to have tact and we got to have discernment. So I know the way I feel, we can't help the way we feel, but we can't help the things that we do. So I try to think about what is the most logical response. I try not to make emotion-based response, because sometimes, most times, the consequences are much longer lasting than the emotions that initiated whatever you do. So, you know, I think about that. You know, I try to give folk grace, you know, but it's a balance too. You don't want to let folk, you know, run over you, but try to give people grace. I know folk are, you know, going through things, but but I also make sure I'm giving myself grace as well, and don't, beat up on myself for not accomplishing certain things that I wanted to do.
And another question is, what is emotional intelligence?
So when I think of emotional intelligence, I think of our ability to one, empathize. Empathy is something that's very important. Again, I'll go back to what I said a moment ago. When I think of tact and discernment, kind of having loving gloves on when you say things, or when you do things. I think that's something that's very important. I know a lot of times people will say, people can justify doing some harmful things and say, oh, well, I told her the truth, or I told him the truth. But you can rip people to shreds with the truth, right? So it's not that the truth in itself is bad. Of course, it's what we want to, we want to prioritize, but also the way we say something, when we say something, how we say something. So I try to be cognizant of that. When people respect you, you can really, the same way you can build someone up, you can inadvertently break them down. So, I try to be careful of how I speak to people.
100%. Can men cry?
Yeah, I think not only can men cry, we should not be bound by, societal norms that say we can't actualize humanity in the same way everyone else does. I think it's really tough these days in some ways, socially, in terms of, men and feeling the freedom to kind of express how you feel. Because on one hand, I'll hear people say, no, we want men to open up. Men need to get therapy, especially black men. I hear this, black men need to get therapy. Black men, I hear this all the time. Or people will say, oh, someone, they bottle up their emotions, they don't share. But then when people do, I've seen them be punished for that, right? I've seen them be punished socially. Even if you think of, this is just easy examples because, people are aware of things that go on with celebrities. You see people have a breakdown, whether it's Tyrese, whether it's Kanye, whether it's, and then you see memes all over everywhere. You see a situation where, Jay-Z getting beat up on, which, let's be honest, it's assault, right? And then the fact that he doesn't respond, which should be, that's respectable. We should be appreciating that. Now that becomes something that's funny, because he doesn't play into the stereotype, so sometimes we're just in this catch-22 situation where, no matter how you respond, it's going to be a negative response. But yeah, I think to get back to the question, yeah, I think men, whatever people feel they should do to be true to themselves, we should be able to do that. I don't think we should feel stuck in these kind of confines of masculinity that society kind of pushes us into, even from a young age, because one, it ain't working for us, and it's not working for anyone else too. And last thing I'll say on that, I know when I was young, being a black boy, you almost kind of forced into this stereotypical box, right? If you don't go into that box, now that's a problem. Then when you're older and you are doing these things because you was forced into it, now you're problematic. Because a minute ago it was, oh, be a man. Then when you be a man, it's like, so it's tough sometimes. So anything that anybody could do that's not an affront to anybody else to help them get more in tune with their emotions and have healthy outlets, I think they should do that.
Okay, so what is self-love?
So when I think of self-love, first we got to start at self-acceptance. Accepting ourselves, understanding that we are not, we are innately worthy. Our worth isn't predicated on outside things. Our social status, what we look like, how much money we have, our relationships with other people. You are born worthy. So when you think of self-love, when I think of self-love, I just think of, giving myself grace to make mistakes, to be wrong, not to be conflated with co-signing dysfunction, but the same grace that I'll extend to someone else, I got to extend that to myself as well.
How is balance important to you?
Say it again.
Balance.
Yeah, balance is really important because I know, like, the older we get, the more responsibilities we have, the more complex our lives become. Balance is key. It's just deciding what we should prioritize and when. Obviously, y'all know what it is, in regards to this economic system. a lot of our focus has to go to making money, to survive. And with that, a lot of things that may not seem as important get kind of pushed back to the side because there's no financial incentive. But we can't prioritize, we can't base the value of something off its ability just to make us money. Prime example, you're not going to get paid for eating healthy. You're not going to get paid for working out. But these are things that are very important to us, from a psychological perspective and from an emotional perspective. Also, when I think of, the process of learning, like striving to get better at something, no matter what it is, it's a hobby, that's something that's very important too. I think, we understand that when it comes to children, but for some reason, when we become adults, we think, okay, this is just who I am, this is where I'm at, and now it's just doing this life thing. But that education, and I don't just mean formal education, but education as a life, mission, as a life practice is important.
And this I'm kind of going off top of the head, but it's what is the issue with how we view the opposite sex as men?
Yeah, I think and I want to be clear. So this can apply to all men, but because the vast majority of my relationships are with black people, not just black women in my life, but just my friends, my social network. And I don't think it could be a broad brush painted around it because the way we navigate the world is very specific. You understand? That said, I think there's a lot of I'll say gender polarization right now, and I think this is something that's instigated by the things that we consume, things that we see on television, whether it's movies, TV shows, or the radio, and this is having a very detrimental effect on our relationships. It seems the more educated we become, there's more social workers now than ever. We have more access to mental health than ever. Why is it at this point where we have access to so much more information and so much more things, our relationship seems to be getting worse? And I think that's because of the unrealistic expectations that we have. And, I think too often we're socialized to assume that the person that we're with is their job to make us happy. And so we put the weight of our happiness on this person. And it's really tough, and it's wreaking havoc on us. All that said, I want to say one more thing. Like I said, speaking specifically to black folk, we also have to understand that we are also operating under a system of oppression. And this weight of oppression, whether we realize it or not, it affects how we communicate with each other. It affects how we navigate the world. And often when I think of conflict, between men and women, a lot of times it's misplaced aggression. There's the real source of my frustration. There ain't no real position or outlet for me to vent. So we vent to, the people who are closest to us sometimes, and that's disappointing. So we got to be aware of that. Everything happens within a social system. It's not disconnected to other things.
Dope. And 3 more questions.
Okay.
How do you overcome defeat?
So when I think of defeat, not just literal defeat. I'm a prize fighter, but also defeat in goals that you want to accomplish. Defeat, failure, whatever, in relationships, or just, ideas you have, or just sometimes it's the slow defeat, right? It's not even a cut and dry defeat. It's the fact that you realize that something that you wanted to attain is unattainable now. Right? It's not like a flat out rejection. You just wake up and realize, man, I had this plan, and now, So I think setting goals and working toward them is important, but also understanding that there's a lesson when we don't accomplish them. Right? What can I take from this? What can I learn from this? Okay, I didn't accomplish this because I was procrastinating. I didn't accomplish this because I didn't prioritize it, right? And sometimes you're not in the position to prioritize it. Sometimes other things are more immediate. So that goes back to what we said about self-love and giving yourself grace. Allowing yourself to be wrong, but then, building up from that and learning from that. And that's just, like I said, that's just a part of the process. So, not to sound cliche, but there's lessons in loss. There's lessons in loss in regards to everything, loss of love, loss of anything. So But the lesson, if it stays with us and it helps us in the future, then it's a win.
What do you think? What's your thoughts on overcoming fear?
Yeah, fear is something. Well, let me just say this. Fear should have no place in our lives. You understand? And even for those who have not gotten to a point where they're not controlled by fear, you can be scared, but don't let it stop you from doing what you know has to be done. You know, fear is a feeling, but again, the actions that we take based off the emotions is what we do have control over. You know, I remember there's been times, especially when I was an amateur, you know, I'd be nervous getting into the cage. It was the scariest thing in the world. But then, you know, you go in there, they lock the door, the fight starts, and you realize, oh, okay, it's just, you know, it's just another day in the office. This person's a human just like me. So metaphorically, even in regards to any other aspect of life, sometimes the fear of fear is worse than what you fear in itself. Like what we're making of it in our mind is scarier than what it is in actuality, because everything that you, and it sounds cliche, but this is real talk, everything that you were scared of in your life, if you're listening to this now, it didn't conquer you because you're still here.
Okay, and the last question, get my focus right. The last question is, how do you view pain, whether it be mental or physical pain?
Yeah, so when I think of pain, you know, it serves a purpose. You know, pain lets us know that something is wrong. Okay, now, you know, we don't want to do some mental gymnastics and say pain is something that is always a good thing, but it, depending on the situation, you gotta, you know, step deeper into it, right? Because it's whatever it is, it's for a reason. Don't dismiss it. So if it's emotional pain because of loss, maybe loss of a loved one, loss of something, allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to express that grief however you want. You know, as we mentioned earlier, like if it's cry, if it's whatever, and then also find a healthy outlets as well, whether it's meditating, something physical, reading, anything. You know, I know a lot of times we delve into escapism, and escapism gets a bad name, but that's usually because it's unhealthy escapism. It's drinking, it's you know, reckless sex, it's all kind of things. But you know, there's also hobbies you can start, and you can use that as some way to kind of channel those feelings too. But yeah, I think that's really important. I think pain serves a purpose, you know, and the thing that makes pain what it is that it's not forever, right? So it's just pushing through and making sure we're not letting things set us back during that time, that once, you know, the pain subsides, we already on track and we're not starting over.
Akili the bull, no bullshit. Soldier sow with the seeds you sow. Devil jumping soul to soul. Damn, how the seeds gonna grow. Run from the sun and receive the snow. We used to be cool, but now our minds cold. We used to be cool, but now our minds cold. I used to listen to the lies till one day God put a vision in my eyes. Limitations I created, I despise. Ask for permission to be great from these niggas that be fake. I weep for the weak and hope life give them strength. Bitch a beast, you poppin' a pimpin'. Never die on the fence. Fate in my hand, risk it all. Taking a chance, dream chasing. Do or die, rather outcast than sheep to the slaughterhouse. They dying before they started out. Had to leave earth and walk it out. Better learn how to talk it out. Tough die young, and the young swear they tough. Ash to ashes, dust to dust. Cross they heart and hope to die. Nobody staring, but the word is who gon' ride. Give a fuck who gon' die. Long as the judge hear my side. Words of a fool, toting the tool. Shark water, blood in the pool. Price to be cool, never be loved. Shoot 'em up, bang bang, life of a thug. Might lose your shoes, trying to get it out of the mud. Red dot, headshot, end of the movie. Hope you enjoyed all of the groupies. Finally got a star on the walk of fame. Soldier sow with the seeds you sow. Devil jumping soul to soul. Damn, how the seeds gon' grow. Run from the sun and receive the snow. We used to be cool, but now I'm ice cold. We used to be cool, but now I'm ice cold. Yo, yo. My dreams bigger than a skyscraper. Go to the top floor just to wave high haters. Everybody gain to their names on your papers. The streets is watching, niggas is telling. Free the homie what they be yelling. It's all a hustle. You sell bud and Google sell info. Gotta be smart, gotta use your tempo. Stuck in a cage, trapped in limbo. But it ain't safe outside, you ain't get the memo. We fighting the plague, spreading like AIDS in the 80s. Now it's affecting the babies. Upside down world, shit is too crazy. Keep your eye on the sparrow, your chances looking narrow. I'ma die rich, that's word to the pharaohs. King amongst men, I'd rather take it on the chin than turn another cheek. 10 toes down, I'ma die on my feet and leave my life on the beat. Soldier soul with the seeds you sow. Devil jumping soul to soul. Damn how the seeds gon' grow. Run from the sun and receive the snow. We used to be cool, but now I'm ice cold. We used to be cool, but now I'm ice cold.